This
let's go ahead and
conference
get
will now
started.
be recorded.
The Airport Advisory Commission meeting for Tuesday, October the 1st is called to order. Della, can you give me a roll call, please?
Yes. Chair Kunkel,
Present.
Vice Chair Spiritu,
Yes, present.
Commissioner Hitchcock,
Present.
Commissioner Powell,
Present.
Commissioner McDaniel.
Matt will not be here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's look at our agenda, and if there's anything on the agenda that we need to correct or update, we'll do that now. If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Would it be inappropriate to ask Jennifer to kind of give us an update on those areas of the MOU with Wawa, maybe after Mike's report, how those are managing or progressing with the Reno air races?
Has sent me, the MOU has sent
Yes.
to review. I'm still working on it.
Okay. Well,
That's the only one I've seen. That's the one you're speaking of.
the time is ticking by the day that we need to be focused on that.
Okay, well, let's bring that up then. Any other corrections, additions, changes to the agenda? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Okay, let's look at the minutes from our September the 10th meeting. Everybody should have had those previously. I think we've been through quite a bit of that. I know I went through those earlier. So are there any corrections or additions to the minutes as presented? If not, chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented. John?
So moved.
All right, now hear a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify.
I think I came in about 2:30. Sorry. You were, I was 30 minutes late.
And when did they say you came in?
So,
Oh, I think there's, I thought I
Somewhere
saw
in there.
something in
I
here.
saw someone says.
Somewhere in here.
Yeah, there's some, yeah,
Again,
for the
for
record.
the record.
Powell arrived at 2:33 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
It's in there. I thought it was. All right, any other comments, corrections, additions? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved. We already have a
Yeah,
motion.
we moved and seconded, I'm sorry. All right. All those in favor signify so by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, let's go to your report, Jennifer, starting with passenger boardings, please.
The September boardings have not been presented to us as of yet. We normally won't get those for 2 or 3 days following the first of the month.
Right.
Operations, the month of September was 1557 versus last year, September of 1386. The aircraft parking, still, those reports are still coming in. The revenue and expense, revenue was 707,407. Expenses were 145,745 for a net of 561,661.
That's a pretty big month.
As far as
What caused the increase in revenues?
Well, July was down because we started the negative in July. we're starting the new fiscal year, so we're asking for POs. Some of them are large, like our janitorial, that type of stuff. So we're
Well, that'd
also
explain
engaged in that.
expenses. You said
Right.
revenues were
Our
up.
revenues are up.
What caused revenues?
Some
to
of
be
them
up?
could also be the 24 insurance premiums are coming in. Right, they did come in 24 fiscal year, they're coming in now.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, that's a pretty big income jump.
Mr. Chairman, Jennifer, do you have a feel of how many are left to pay those insurance? Or that number might look
for
like?
24,
Yes,
I think we only had a couple.
About 5,
about 5 left.
yes.
And ballpark for us.
Ballpark.
Couple hundred?
At least, well, all the involvements in there.
250 to 300.
Okay. And do we have those on a plan for payment?
One of them is on a plan for payment, Kabu is on a plan for payment. Red Mountain has not entered into an agreement yet, but we're working on that. And Dean Baldwin is the other large one, and they're disputing the amount.
And the city attorney is working on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can we make sure we have that as an automatic, action on for next month's meeting? Get an update on that,
On insurance payments?
please.
Okay.
You want that for FY 24 or both?
Both, please. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
let's move on to item E.
So the project list, as we discussed last month, we are 1.7 million short for the taxiway for the BLM. I did ask the mayor to reach out to the cabinet secretary, the governor, to see if we could receive those funds out of the aviation division. They do have funds available. He did send me an email last week saying he made that request to Senator Travis, and I haven't heard anything back on that. BLM was rearranging some funds. They'll give us an addendum so we can do the pit. Currently, right now, as of 2 o'clock, we're opening bids on the apron for the phase 1 for the Pittsburgh construction. That was out to rebid. So we're hoping with the redesign of that project for certain areas that it will come in within bid budget. No updates on the master plan, the sweeper, ABB, strategic plan we do have on the agenda to discuss today. The southeast water line, that's on the agenda as well. The only other change will be to the EDA grant, which is also on the agenda next, but I'll go ahead and update you on that. We did have a tenant interested in that. We could not come to an agreement on the lease term rate, so they are no longer interested in it. And so we are asking EDA we're going to return the grant back to EDA. That
That's 2.6.
2.7.
But we can't cover our part of that either, can we? The city doesn't
It's
have.
a 100%.
Oh, okay.
What was unreasonable about the terms?
Two things, they had just made a large investment in another one of their properties, and so they weren't able to budget for, the lease rate on the hangar. So it was offered to them as a long-term 20-year lease for the building and land at initially $8 a square foot. We dropped it down to $6.50, and we still were not able to come to terms with that. So for, you know, keeping ourselves sustainable and in alignment with our return on investment for the initial investment, we had to say we couldn't do it.
Is there any future possibility of that with the same?
Yes, they
Same
said,
term?
well, EDA said if we returned it, we could always extend it. Give it damages.
When is the current one
September, isn't it? Next month.
September.
Okay.
September 25. For completion.
And city staff was okay with that?
Yes.
And I did, submit to DFA this morning, 2 NOOs for the grandstand bleachers. We were approved by council yesterday, so we have to go, because of grants, we have to get permission to use those monies for that project. So there are 2 grants that I have requested to draw off of. One will close one grant, the other will still have funds available on it to use, so we're not out in that.
So that'll pay for the bleachers? Wow. And that's with the new bleacher contractor, right?
Correct.
Will the DOT have to do, or whoever's gonna do the earthwork to prepare the land, how soon can they start on that? And will it be the DOT that's gonna do that, or the highway department that's here?
For the bleachers?
For the bleachers, I don't know who's gonna do the bleachers since there's been all this confusion about that.
I have a meeting with County, next Monday.
Oh, okay.
The county's gonna do
He's
chip
gonna come
seal,
out,
the
take a
chip
look
seal.
at it.
A lot of that is what we're.
But all the earthwork's got to be done first.
Well, Mike Proline, he's the new engineer on our multi-source contract, he's online as well. He'll be online Monday visiting with them, because we do have drainage in that area, so we have to take that into consideration.
So it's gonna be built up for the bleachers, to divert water around the bleachers?
We can find out what they're going to propose.
Our current drain basin on the taco chip goes around the drain basin and to one corner. So, they're gonna have to work on how are they gonna get access for ADA compliance for people to get over, and safely move people without having to go through a drainage ditch. So, those are things they're gonna have to work out, and then how does it affect the drainage overall? So that'll be step 1.
Well, all that can be done while we're
Yes.
getting them built anyway.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's all I have on that. I've already explained what's going on with the EDA grant.
That was when that was originally the Cadbury Doghouse, right? Just wanna make sure that was.
any other questions for Jennifer on operations report? Okay, Jennifer, let's talk about airport security update.
And what I can tell you is that the TSA approved our ASP on August the 27th. We have 120 days to rebadge everyone on this airport. The only ones that will need to be fingerprinted and background checks are going to be those new tenants, new employees, I guess. And the badging has to be completed by December 19th. The current badges will expire and not work.
Okay, and we talked about some other things at our meeting also.
We have had security meetings and, the training that they are required to take is about 60 minutes. So it's about the same amount of time as the past training took. They'll be able to do their own training online, and then they have to come into the office and sit at one of the computers here to take 2 remaining tests.
And that's about an hour plus or minus here,
Yeah, it could be 45 minutes.
okay, but they still gotta get here and they still gotta get back.
That is
So they're
correct.
not making any income for their, for their
No.
bosses during that time.
And their computers are allowed to schedule their own time. And they are open Monday through Friday from, I think it's 8 to 4.
So even though we've gotta have new badging, there's not any significant change to the employer or to their employees reference the amount of time that it takes
No.
to get their new badges.
They can still come in as the old way, they still came in, they still had to do their class of economics.
Okay. And so that's up to the tenants to manage their own employees to get all that accomplished by the 19th of December.
Correct.
Okay. So the other thing that was discussed, because of some concerns that
The cost.
CAVU had, was timing for research once their birthday comes around.
Correct.
So talk about that a little bit.
So we did, decide that we will, implement cost reduction for those that have to get their badge before December 19th, but the birthday falls in January, February, they won't have to repay. We thought of maybe a reduction of, half off, something like that.
Okay, that was not my understanding. My understanding was that they would be allocated based on time. So if they got a badge in December and their birthday, they have to be redone on their birthdays.
Right.
We decided that, the airport decided that. So if they're gonna get redone in January because it's their birthday, they'd pay a 12th of the badging cost. So it was an allocation based on time, not a percentage.
According to Mr. Fisher's notes to me, cost reduction for badges being reissued prior to birthday.
That is not what we talked about. That is incorrect. So Mr. Fisher, when he gets back from vacation, needs to talk to me or somebody. That is not what we talked about. That's fair to the tenants to do it the way I just described. Okay,
What's the badging cost, Mr. Chairman?
$95,
No,
isn't it?
Not
That's-
$95,
That's what I was told
by,
by Fisher.
no,
no, it's not $95.
What is it then?
Wait, it's 60.
$68 or $65.
Now, that's still up considerably from a year ago.
You gotta get fingerprinted now. Everybody has to be fingerprinted. Excuse me, my name is Rebecca Stockton. I'm the alternate ASC, so if you have any questions, I can try my best to answer those questions for you. I am sitting in for Mr. Fisher.
Okay, my comments that I just made, do you know anything about that?
Not yet, no, sir. So from my understanding, before Don left for vacation, a couple of concerns came up. He had to go on vacation, so it's still under evaluation, so until he comes back, he may have an answer for you for your next meeting next month.
Yeah, that can be resolved before the next meeting.
Absolutely, but what I can tell you right now is, because everyone has to be fingerprinted, that cost alone, I don't know the numbers, but everything together should come to what Jennifer said, which was $65.
Okay, I had heard 95.
Question? And are you able to do digital fingerprinting or
That is
where
exactly
is
what
that
we're
done?
doing. Digital fingerprinting, yes, sir.
Here?
Here at the airport.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
you have that capability now?
Yes, we do.
Cool.
Is there a separate fee for the fingerprinting to the customer?
That She said it included it.
Yeah, it did
I'm
that
sorry.
with that. That's okay.
All right, any other questions or comments of Jennifer on the item number 6? Okay, let's go ahead and,
Mr. Chairman, I think we need to be able to figure out that one, because I have a note on it too, and I'm concerned about someone being badged in December, that may be a badge in February, as you said.
Sure.
The company's gonna have to absorb those costs, they just pay them too much
Well,
product, whatever the timing is, I think we need to really, maybe get an update our next meeting. But
yeah, we can update.
costs to companies are pretty expensive.
We'll resolve that before the next meeting, because the tenants want to know. Okay, are you gonna introduce our new engineers, Jennifer?
Sure. So online, we have Mike Provine with Corbin, Mulvin and Corbin Associates. And there he is, right in the center. Do y'all have any questions for Mr. Provine?
His firm is gonna get some of the initial project work right,
Correct,
because TSA wanted it spread out that way.
FAA.
FAA, okay. All right. So Mike, do you have any projects you're already looking at doing?
He's got a presentation.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair and advisory committee. I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you all, but I'll go through it. Thank you for allowing me to join today. We came down last week. We came down 2 weeks ago, met with Air Center staff and also Bobby Thompson to talk a little bit about the air races and what help we could provide on those projects. Nothing specific at this time, but we're working through some questions that we're going to supply on specifics, if you will, with Jennifer. Last week we came down and with our architect and our electrical engineer to talk specifically about the terminal improvements, most specifically about the standby generator for the terminal and also renovation of the restrooms there on the first floor. So we went through that. So we're preparing a task order that we'll submit to the city for the design work on those improvements.
So Mike, on the improvements that you're talking about, is that something that you'll be able to provide us your suggestions and cost information by November?
Probably be pretty conceptual by November. We'll have their task order in, of course, maybe a square footage cost on the restrooms and conceptual cost on the standby generator. But certainly we'll provide as we go along updates to you all.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from members, councilors? All right, Mike, thank you. We appreciate it. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity. So we'll be seeing you next meeting.
All right, so will you be in person next meeting or just?
I'm thinking in person works better. The sound is, especially when you have an airplane. But yeah, I'll try to make it down there. Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mike, you're up next on update for national air races.
We are sending a Roswell transition team to the air show in Reno tomorrow, and the team consists of several city folks, John Hitchcock, a couple of folks from my office, including myself. We'll be working with the Reno folks and learning a lot about the needs, and then when we return, I anticipate we'll be focused on committees or target teams or something, start working in individual areas, how we can prepare our community for their arrival next year, and also any support needs we need to provide for RARA. spoke with the tourism secretary, this morning, and, they did award, some $700,000 for marketing, to RARA. And, talking with the secretary, he's, happy how that went. That was a result of a meeting that the mayor and I and RARA attended, and Chad Cole attended, July. And, so we anticipate, good stuff happening in their marketing. There's been a series of articles that's gonna be coming out in the paper. One's already been produced, and there's a couple more, I think, in the queue. One of the areas that the EDC will be doing is get some more information out to the public on what's going on. So, things are moving forward, and the city did select their, grandstand, vendor, and hopefully that project will start moving forward as well. The dates have not been announced yet, for the September event, and, so I don't know what they are for sure, so I can't tell you if I need them. But the May event for the PRS, the Pylon Recertification School, will still happen in May, about the middle of the month. We do anticipate several hundred people here flying, and then get training. So I think that one of the other teams coming back here to Roswell mid-October after the air show, their president, Tony Locetta, I think he's gonna come down, probably visit Dr. Powell and start working that agreement with the university on classroom space and those type of things for that PRS. We do have a smaller team that'll be here during that week. We just had a team here 2 weeks ago. Operationally, we'll have in October, the 21st of October, we're gonna have some airplanes down here. They're gonna come down here and fly the area, not actually fly the course because there's no course, but they're gonna be flying the area. The FAA has been met with the RARA folks and city officials to discuss the course and wait for that approval before they can begin the pylon for to be ready for May. So things seem to be moving forward as we expected.
I've got a question. When you look at the course setup, of course, I know we're gonna have donated telephone poles out there.
Right up.
To identify where they're not in place, they're just out there. So has anything been worked out with the rancher yet?
Yes, in fact, Mayor Jennings has been very involved with this, and we've had several meetings with him, and everything seems to be in a good place.
Okay.
So I suspect that RARA would and should have some type of agreement with those people, make sure that they're split apart. But Mr. Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, I think everything looks satisfactory at this point with the families that have properties in that area.
And so that's directly between the air races and the ranch owners, right?
That's correct.
City's not really,
That's
other
correct.
than being a go-between.
Right.
City's not involved in
That's okay.
that.
Likewise with the university for these, their facilities between, RARA and the university. As it should be.
Any other questions for Mike?
I'm sorry, Mike, which agency is committed to $700,000 to the state?
It's the state tourism department, and, I'm sorry, I need to tell you one other thing too, but 700,000, from tourism, and, possibly grants next year through tourism. But there's an additional 300,000 in sponsorship from the city of Roswell through the, launchers tax money that was approved, and that's also an MOU, so, looks like what we're moving towards is, to create that timeline of the marketing effort to spend those monies as they requested from the state. And, we'll be working on that next week, and when I'm in Reno, we'll be having some discussions about that, so. But, so it's a total of pretty much $1 million for marketing for RARA.
And does Walra think that's adequate?
I think so. What do you think, Mr. Mayor?
The better.
Not much more, huh?
Well, we got, it's not really very cheap,
No.
putting all this crap they want. They're not really quick to tell us what they want. And it's just, there's only a certain amount of time that they make 48-inch pipe that you can use for their little barrels to put up in the sky so people can fire.
We'll get there.
So I understand that, you just have to order this stuff. But somebody's got to talk to the poor guy who orders it. I happened to be me, he wasn't real happy because it takes us so long to do it. I just told him it's just you, but
You may check with Transwestern and see if they've got some 48-inch pipe in their yard.
it's too late now.
Okay.
Can't come up with a suggestion, too late.
Question,
Go ahead, John.
do you know if RARA is working directly with Holyfields?
I don't know the answer to that. Do you know, Mr. Mayor?
Because the MOU places responsibility on RARA to acquire land or the easements by November 1.
That's this month.
I believe, in our previous discussions, John, that, they intend to enter some type of agreement directly with landowners, so they can have that access, but again, we don't see any challenges in that or obstacles in that way. I think that's one of the reasons the, Tony, the president, is coming here, the week after, so.
21st, you said, yeah.
No, he's come before that, he's come the week prior to that, so we had the 12th or something like that, so. He's bringing his administrative team down here.
When we met with the Rama people who were here and the landowners, they did breakfast at Martine's, everything was fine.
Yep.
I mean, they clearly know what they're getting into. Some of them want to see about if there's any point value, if they get to shoot a cannonball in there, but other than that.
Did you tell them, no, we didn't want that?
So I don't have the authority to do that. They took everybody out there and showed them how they could shoot them.
Yeah, they showed them. They seem to have a good relationship.
1,300 feet or something, that's a long way to shoot a cannonball, or in a ball. And they whistle better if you don't plug up the hole.
That's right.
They've got a guy out at the fair that does that.
They do that out there on their land.
He's doing that all week.
It might take one of those 48-inch pipes from out there to get you out through that thing. You bet 36 probably get in. You might have to grease you up a little.
We can talk about me and we can talk about you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I'm just, you were the one that brought it up.
I don't know where this is going. All right, let's move forward. Mike, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
All right. And no other comments?
No, you know.
Thank you. All right, Jenna, Southeast Waterline update, item number 9.
So this information was provided from James McCormick with the engineering department. The Southeast Water Extension Phase 2 project was awarded to White Cloud Pipeline at the August City Council for $1.47140 and 55 cents, including GRT. White Cloud is mobilizing on the 14th of October with the project construction start date of the 21st of October, with an anticipated completion date of May of 2025. Also, if you'll scroll down one more slide, they did give us the path of the water line extension so that you all can see where it will be running from and where it is going to.
That's just a water line, right? That's not a sewer tip, just a
Correct,
water.
just the water line.
Okay, any questions of Jenna? Thanks for Thanks for giving us a ride.
That was James, not me. Engineering did good.
All right. So completed May of 25.
Jenna, can we, is there plans to throw fiber conduit in that same trench?
I don't have that update, but I can get an update for you. It's my understanding that they're not gonna put anything in yet, just the conduit line itself, as they're trenching.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, yes,
Conduit, yeah,
that's my
not-
understanding.
It saved money for retrenching.
Correct.
That.
Yes.
And that's with which company?
White Cloud.
Plateau.
But they, I don't think they want necessarily the same ditch with them.
With the water. I don't know, I mean, I think they had mentioned that to me at one time, but it's been some months ago, I don't know what the plan is.
Can I get clarification and get back to you?
Please, thank you.
Me again?
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead and scroll down to the next. So, WWRC has mobilized and has started work at hangar 84. So this is Kavu's hangar, where the front windows blew out from the overpressurization of that wind event. As you can see, the framing has gone back in as that picture on the left was taken this morning. So we went out to check on the crew. Those openings in the center will be louvers that will allow for us to not have a reoccurrence of the same overpressurization of the hangar. So instead of going back with windows, we went ahead and went back with a siding with louvers in it to prevent that from happening again. So they're on target to continue working. They've been there every day. We made it through security badging so that they are escorting themselves at this point and independently working with the tenant. But I do go over every other day to check on the progress and find out how they're doing.
And approximate completion date?
They should be done with this one, beginning of November. That's our target, and then they will also continue on to hangar 85, which has some metal to be replaced, and then hangar 1083, which is the involvement that also has metal on the siding to be replaced.
Is 85 Kavu's hangar also?
No, that is air sail.
Okay.
So it'll be Kavu, air sail, and Dean Baldwin that were affected.
So once 84 is completed by the end of this month, will that allow Kavu to complete their lease?
Yes,
Okay. That's all we're waiting on that lease?
just these repairs to be done, yeah.
Okay. Right.
Question, Mr. Chairman. Jenna,
Yes.
what happened to Cavu, I know the engineer looked at I don't know which engineer, but an engineer looked at it. Would we have the same potential at AirSail that we need to plan for? Could that same thing happen at another, because it's another hangar in that same row, facing the same directions could they face the same issue in the future we don't plan for?
They don't have the same trajectory. They actually are more turned around a corner, 85 is, and their hangar doors are situated differently. What happened with this one is they closed one side of the hangar and left the other side with it open because they had a plane in. So usually it's the venting of the hangar itself. So the tenant just needs to be cognizant of that as well, that they're not leaving a wind tunnel to come into where that pressure happens. I will go and look at that. It's not something I really have considered, to be truthful, so I will go out and make sure that that hangar is still in avoidance of that happening, or at least having that discussion with AirSail, because we really don't want this to happen to another hangar.
My point, yeah. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Jenna on item number 10? Okay, Michelle, let's update us on properties.
Okay, so, basically there's trying to market them. I showed a couple of people some of the vacants. I also showed Mr. Murphy, see if we could get him to lease out another, building. Which one did you show? We showed, 1,000, and then I showed. 734. That's the one I showed Mr. Murphy is 734.
I don't see 734 on the list.
It's right about middle way. It'll say
Oh, okay.
storage.
I see it.
Mhm.
It's behind the DOT training center.
But you showed it to him, was there interest?
He is talking to his mechanic, that way he can see if they can, come to some agreement. He did vacate yesterday, so he did let me know that he would let me know at the end of the month.
Okay. The end of the month, meaning the end of October?
October.
Okay. Any questions of Michelle on our unleased properties? We don't have any other interest on any of the T hangers at all.
We do not.
Okay. All right, Jenna, let's talk about marketing.
So I have, not been able to, I've not been successful at getting, Mr. Cox from Texas to respond to me in the last, 2 weeks or 3 weeks since our last meeting. So I decided to continue on researching, other options or furthering my understanding of how to appropriately market at an airport. This is an organization, Airport Cooperative Research Program. These are reports that are sent out and very popular within the business sector of running airports. And this one, this report, Michelle and I have started going through. I've given her a copy of it as well, about developing and leasing airport property. So if you go to the next screen, there's a section in this report about marketing at an airport. So, this kind of gives the basics of, the airport will likely market to the facility to potential tenants. Well, it raised to me the question, well, where do we find potential tenants? There are many ways to market and solicit proposals for project construction. We haven't put an RFI out in quite some time, so that might be something we would consider after we have our strategic plan in place. We kind of have areas that we've designated as development to start putting those RFIs out to find potential for people to develop at our airport. And then also the option to use a third party such as the economic development entity, which we are currently doing. But I did indicate that I feel there would be a way for us to find data lists on airport tenants on other properties that might be similar to ours that are becoming congested. That would give us an opportunity to reach out to those tenants if they're exceeding their spot where they're at and we have space for them to come here. So I'd like to delve into that a little bit further. I'd like to work on that with Cisco if that's appropriate, with Mike. And then also following up and continuing our partnership with them and updating all of our site location sheets so that both Cisco, Mike, and Michelle have a sheet. When somebody calls and says, what's going on at this property, she can email it directly and it will have everything they need to know about that property. And so I think that we'll continue researching, but I would like to find out where I can get data on other tenants and other properties that are similar to ours. The other thing, I've done it in other industries. I haven't done it in this one. So I don't, it will be something I'll have to find out if I'm able to, even get that data. The other thing that I found, and I do have an appointment, Michelle and I do on Thursday with a software, a marketing agency that's specific to airports called LoopNet. I want to talk to them a little bit further, because when I've browsed their site, there's one property from New Mexico at an airport on their site. So I got two conclusions. One, New Mexico doesn't know about it, or two, they're not that prominent. So those are the things I need to, do my due diligence on.
New Mexico does know about it
LoopNet,
because appraisers use that,
okay,
but typically it doesn't have anything to do with airports, to my
there were
knowledge.
airport hangars on that list from Texas, Colorado, Arizona, so across the nation.
Okay,
The bus plan was on there.
okay.
That's how we had, one here in the county.
Okay.
We're happy to continue partnering with you, Jenna, on that, EDC that is.
Perfect.
We have, everything you have so far, we have on our website already. And so the list that's in here, this one here,
Yes,
I just gave this to Cisco, just verified and the DIS, everything,
Perfect.
we've got everything in there. So what would help would be new
side sheets, yeah.
site sheets, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And especially if they're all consistent, so we can have the same
Correct.
messaging.
Yep,
One thing that I might suggest, that might reduce a little bit of your search time is look at other airports that are proximate to here
okay,
first. And that would include probably even Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, El Paso, Albuquerque. But look at those first, and I would think just contact with other airport management people. They likely don't want to lose any of their tenants, but if they've got somebody that's outgrown where they are and they don't have any options and we do, you might find that, I would hope you would find that they might be willing to help. I don't know whether that's the case or not.
So, Mr. Chairman, Jenna, so most airports, if you go to the website, they list the companies that are there.
Mhm.
And it can kind of give you an indication of who's got challenges. So, I mean, it'll take a little research time, but you can drill down and find out where those pinch points might be.
okay.
Not all do it, but quite a few do. Anything like?
But at least if you're checking stuff that's proximate to here, and in the likelihood of the move possibly be higher, rather than somebody in Chicago. Okay, any other questions or comments to Jenna on marketing? Okay, Michelle, let's go to our lease summary report, and that's in everybody's package also.
Okay, my upcoming leases, as discussed, Mr. Murphy has moved out. I have escalated, Mr. Day to legal. Daniels Welding has moved out. Aircel, Mr. Wolf has requested their leases, so we, are drafting that to be sent over for his review. I am already working on Cleanup Enterprise and SIDA as they are going to expire at the end of this month.
Okay, when you said you escalated Carl Day, what does that mean to Lee? He's not
He's
responding
not,
to you?
yes, he's not responding. I've already done my due diligence of sending him, legal letters, stuff like that. I've called, left messages, tried to work something out with him. He's not responding anymore, so I've given it to Hess to, proceed with legal actions.
Carl's quite a bit older, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got him in one day and then after that, he just
Right.
just hasn't responded.
Okay.
And I call at least 2 or 3 times a day. I write the time and that I've called, left a message, and no response.
Okay. I do what you need to do, but I would think pestering somebody 2 or 3 times a day doesn't gain you anything.
His aircraft is out of the hangar. He sold it, so it's kind of just a matter of us closing this up and collecting the arrears.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other comments or questions on our lease summary report? Well, we're making some progress.
We are.
Thank you. All right. The next item is our conversation on strategic plan with Mead and Hunt. And I'm assuming we've got Mead and Hunt folks listening in. Yeah, Kevin's there. Both Kevins are there.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
We can?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got Kevin and Kevin here from Mead and Hunt. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Could the organizer allow me to share my screen and I'll share the overall strategic plan. And in the meantime, we'll kind of talk a little bit about next steps. So let's see. Okay, let's see. I will share a window and we will share this. Perfect. Thank you. So first I want to start just thank you all. I think you all have been pretty integral in the process from the beginning. We started, a little bit before my time, about 10 months ago, on this strategic plan process. Am I sharing yeah, I am sharing my screen. Okay, good. So I want to thank you all for your participation. John and Bud, you had some really good comments on the latest draft. I wanted to thank Jenna and Jennifer to get you guys all the latest copy of the strategic plan for today. So we'll go over, I think because you all have been kind of integral to this process throughout the last 10 months or so, I'm not going to go word for word. I'll go over kind of at a high level. We can stop at any point along the way. Next steps, if I can make any additional tweaks and changes after this meeting today, then the next step will be for the strategic plan to go to the legal committee later this month. I think that's on the 24th. And then finally going to the city council for approval in November. Jennifer, before I jump in, is there anything else you'd like to say to start us off?
No, it's just been a pleasure working with you.
Great. Yes, it's been a really fun project for Kevin and I as well. So at a high level, we thank you, Mayor Tim, for your letter to really kick things off. We like to have this at the top. Do you all have a copy there? It looks like we're paging through.
We do.
Okay, great. We like to start things off with sort of an official letter, just to set the tone and kind of the official nature of the strategic plan. And then kind of like with all I like to do, we like to start with gratitude. So thanking everybody who's been a part of this process throughout the months that we've been working on it. Then we get into the details of the strategic plan, starting with sort of an overview of the Roswell Air Center. We were able to put in here that you guys are going to be taking over the national championship air races. That was a fun addition that we were able to put in. And then giving just sort of a background of the airport, the air center, and its role in the region in case anyone, grabs this from the website or doesn't really know kind of the history. So this is sort of the profile, the area, And then we've added this map, which I think this was a great addition. But I still need our graphics person to add in the UFO Museum and Research Center right in Roswell. And then we need to add the Cannon Air Force Base in Curry County, which you mentioned, which I think those are both really good adds. This shows where the Air Center is in the larger region, and then all of the different attractions and sort of aviation focused centers that are around Roswell. So it's throughout the state. So it's one of many, kind of a larger system. So that's kind of what this is getting apart. There were some we had to show, and I hope this is clear in the legend, the darker colored icons as if there is more than one of any certain type of attraction in a county. That was a way to differentiate that. We have the names of them all down here. Tried to balance a variety of attractions and within each of the counties without, it's a relatively small map, so we didn't want to get it too overwhelming.
Kevin, before you get any further, I think, you keep going, but I think what we'll do is anything that any of the commission members have, as soon as we complete this meeting, we can walk through, mark up what we've got, and get that to you even yet today. I know there's a couple of things, like on the page you just went through, page 3, that I had given you previously that didn't get added to my copy. So I think that's the
right.
best way to handle questions or comments that we've got. But yeah, I'd say just continue walking through it.
Great. Yeah, I would appreciate those, and then we'll get that turned around well in advance of the legal committee. Yeah, but on page 3, those 2 items, I needed our graphics person who was out. I needed her to add those in. So we'll get both the Air Force, the Cannon Air Force Base, and the UFO Museum added to this list.
Okay.
You probably only add the Roswell Museum because Goddard's Workshop's in there and they have a planetarium. And probably put the Anderson Museum too, just because it's a world-class museum. I mean, it's as good as anything you can think there anywhere else.
So Emerson Museum, and what else, Tim?
The Roswell Museum. I mean, they have a planetarium, but, and
Far back in
yeah.
planetarium.
In the Anderson Museum, and they're already adding the UFOs, so that's,
We have 7
You know,
museums. We have 7 museums.
yeah, well, there's one at the Institute, but I don't know, when you start looking about the airport, Walker's Museum just right down here. I know it's a lot, but it's about an airport. There are not many places that have an old gate here, they can tell they just got lost. First time.
Great. Yeah, I think if send that my way, we'll get that added. I tried to keep it to about 2 or 3 per county. Obviously, Otero County has a little bit more, but just for space. But I want, you guys know the area best, so whatever you think is important to have on here, we'll absolutely add.
Kevin, since this is in Roswell, in Chavez County, and we're paying for this, we'll add it.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Get a chock full. Okay, and yeah, please interrupt me anytime with other comments. But I appreciate Bud's thought to send everything, all your comments that you have to me after the meeting. We'll get them updated so that we can get this finalized. Moving along, so again, this is just, that was kind of looking at the more Roswell as a whole, the region as a whole, and now this is looking more specific to the Roswell Air Center. The basic infrastructure, which we got from ADIP, the runways, and then this graphic, which is originally from the critical issues inventory, speaking to the developable land. Obviously, there's a lot of developable land on the airfield. The different types of businesses on the airfield, made sure to add that. I think it was Kabu is both an MRO and has aircraft parking, so made sure to put that in both. This page, speaking to the airport governance and then the financial management and grant assurances. I make sure I like to have this in here so folks, again, if they're not familiar with airports, they can understand that, you know, the airports are really, that Roswell Air Center is tied to their grant assurances. We don't speak to all of them, but I wanted to put a high level, kind of some of the main grant assurances that people might have questions about. And then of course, there's the website down here if someone wants to read more about this. I imagine the city council knows this well enough, but just in case other folks pick this up and have questions. So the budget, thank you. I want to thank everybody who helped us get the budget numbers. I know that took a little bit of wrangling to get, and so I just want to thank you. Everyone's super busy, so thank you for your time getting us the updated revenue numbers, revenue and expenses. So based off the latest 2024 income statement, you can see the majority of the revenue comes from the land leases, land and facility leases, with the second largest being aircraft parking. Non-operating revenue, you know, as you can imagine, a greater majority of that is grants, including AIP grants, and then passenger facility charges. The net negative of 1% of the interest. Excuse me. And then the breakdown of the expenses, which is a little bit dispersed more evenly, with the main expense. The highest is contractual services, maintenance and repairs, which is a category that covers a fair amount of different things, at 23%. Insurance also at 23%. But you had a question about if this is offset by tenant repayments.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I can share this screen too. I can show you what's covered by that. While I pull that up, Jennifer, do you have any more insight into that?
No.
Well, Kevin just reported that a big chunk of income for last month had to do with insurance reimbursements. I don't think we know how much, but that was just reported.
That's 25. This is 24.
Okay. So, but are the parameters for 24 for insurance reimbursements, maybe they haven't been done, but are the parameters for insurance reimbursement not the same last year as this current fiscal year? So I think there needs to be some sort of discussion at some level, because first of all, obviously it looks bad to be negative. I mean, we got 4.7 revenue and 5.9 expenses. Well, if those expenses, especially through insurance repayments, are not accurate, and these maybe that's what the city had and they weren't reimbursed that much. But if they were, that would sure reduce the red ink out here, and legitimately reduce the red ink. Okay.
And
You're
yes,
talking-
if you,
But
yeah, if you can see my screen, this is what fell under the insurance category, excuse me, for 23 and 24. And so the building insurance went up really significantly.
Saying that insurance expense.
So the expenses would have gone up on the insurance from last year, and we didn't recoup all of that money. Some of that's coming in this year, which is what I believe you're trying to say, Bud, is that correct?
Well, yeah, there's gonna be some changes because of fiscal year, but
So we
Yeah,
still
maybe.
have aging revenue that didn't offset last year because it didn't come in until after July.
and if that's what we're dealing with, then that's what we're dealing with. I just wanted somebody to make sure that I understood that we're in the red. That's obvious from these two pages. And if that's inaccurate because of insurance reimbursement
I think,
for 24 fiscal year, then
Mr. Chair, if I might, so if you look at page 7, and that revenue is 4.7 there,
yes.
you go to the next page, a non-operating revenue,
Add those together.
so you add those two together, give us 7 million.
7,856
You subtract
minus 5,9.
8,413.
So we are positive.
Yes, sir.
All right.
5,000,000.
I obviously wouldn't add the second page.
I think if they were all smaller graphs on that page, it'd probably be easier to follow.
Apparently, the accounting and what he's looking at follows what the FAA looks at on revenue and non-operating revenue, so that's broken out.
So Kevin, what we're talking about here is, since I wasn't smart enough to look at the top of the next page, is there a mechanism to orchestrate this or present this that has the revenues on the same page?
Yep, yeah, we can move that. So yeah, that's all just like sort of that's a graphics thing. So I can work with our graphics person because yeah, the non-operating bumped down. I think we speak to it up here, but then but just where it landed on the page, it fell down. But I'll work with our graphics person and we can make that fix. We'll figure that out.
Just more readily understandable if we do it that way.
Yep. And if what maybe what we'll do is we'll put we'll do budget, we'll do the revenue, we'll do the that all on one page, and maybe we'll take non-operating revenue, put it all on the second page, and expense all on a third page. But either way, I'll work with our graphics person and make that more clear.
Okay, and then back to my original point, if the insurance expenses are not, if those are legit for the fiscal year 24 that we're talking about here, and there are no offsets due to tenant reimbursements to the city for those, then that's what we've got. But if there are some tenant reimbursements in fiscal year 24 for insurance, I'd like to see that reflected in that area of presentation. Because we know that tenants reimburse insurance.
Who would be the best person to get that information from? So I can look into that.
probably myself, Kevin, and Jenna.
Okay, great. I'll follow up with you on this. And then maybe what we do, but if this this will fit the bill, get what those are, and then we can say, sort of like we do the net interest expense, we could do net insurance to show what that looks like.
Perfect.
Okay. Great. Okay, and then this slide kind of just gives the overall kind of why we do a strategic plan and how it aligns to the larger picture of, you know, the comprehensive plans at both the city of Roswell and Chavez County, as well as, you know, an airport master plan, and then how it aligns, you know, more narrowly with an operating budget. And these are, you know, we know an airport master plan usually goes out 20 years, but generally you will redo a master plan every 10 years. So this is kind of showing how long the general lifespan is before you do another one of these. Part of this is just to keep this in mind for about 5 years from now, it'll be about time to do another strategic plan. I think you all have been really integral to this part, developing the mission and vision. I think that those were some really good workshops that we did together. And then based off of that and that last in-person workshop that we had where Jeff went through each of all of the objectives to get it down to sort of 6 main focus areas, which I'm going to scroll down because our graphics person had a lot of fun with this to kind of make a nice graphic to show the 6 goals, which are, you know, improving commercial air service, leveraging facility development, accelerating aviation education and job growth, enhance general aviation services, reinforce airport administration, and attract regional and national investment. Then down here, I speak to the action plan, which is in the appendix. And then down here, this just speaks to the goals and the objectives with the goals. Thank you, John, for catching the correction on objective 3. Move those around a bit. We've gone through these a lot, so I won't spend any time on any individual one unless folks would like me to.
Can you go back to just a little bit to page 10?
Yes, sir.
You know, and I just look under vision, the center becoming preferred aviation destination in the region, having significant economic impact by providing an environment to drive aviation, manufacturing and industrial jobs and uses. Shouldn't there be aviation education after the drive aviation, aviation education in there as well? You know, I just think we have so much of an opportunity with our college here for AMP and everything else to get people to include that for, you know, I'm not good with vision statements, but all I'm just saying, I just think that somewhere the aviation education program that I think our college has the ability to offer here needs to be emphasized. But that's just me. Now, I'm not telling you, I know I've done a lot of vision statements, but it's just hard enough for me to get some people to have the vision, much less. But I just, I think there's our code control tower offers an awful lot of education to people, and I doubt we're not in control of that, but there's just a lot that seems to me to be open to it, and I don't know if that's you guys. You guys write vision statements all the time, but there are very few places that have the coordination of our educational institution to work together with. I think, in my opinion, in the aviation field, I mean, they can do, we come here with a problem, somebody comes here, they have the ability to take them and make sure they have a degree to work on whatever they want, to train the company that comes here as employees as well. So I don't know if that's just something that struck me.
That's one of our major goals, strategic goals, is education. I think we should have something.
I mean, I don't know, I'm just saying,
Why would you have 8 or 6 focus areas?
well, I mean, I don't know, all I'm saying is that the A&T program offers us a hell of a lot that I don't think other people have, and you can bring any mechanic here and train them and get them over here and get them certified. And just the coordination between it. If we get into more flight training, which is something that could very easily be done. That's why I just say somewhere in there, I think, but you'll have to, you're better reading this stuff than I am. But
Kevin, do you have any thoughts on adding to drive aviation, comma, aviation education, comma, manufacturing? Do you have an opinion on that?
So I think that that's something we can add. I think what I would say what's more important is that we have a whole goal area around that. But if the airport feels really strongly in the education piece, I think we can add it. Vision statements are like really, really high level. I think that it could be kind of folded into aviation in general, but if we want to call it out, we absolutely can. That's a simple change. Assuming others are okay with that, right? We spent a whole meeting kind of crafting the vision and mission statement. So that would be my only concern about changing it at this point.
Maybe I could just add real quick that, Kevin's right that the good news is your goals and objectives for that area are pretty well documented in there. You've got all your goals and objectives you need to do exactly what the mayor's saying. I would say in the vision statement, if you feel as an airport advisory, commission, and then when it goes to the city council, if your vision is education and you want to have that, drive education or aviation, education, manufacturing, industrial, then you should put it in there. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But Kevin Nectarline, he made a good point that as you've gone through this process over the last 6 months, there may be folks that look and go, where did that come from? And then you just kind of explain that, well, as we, the advisory board and the city council, you're the final decision makers in this. And so you could just explain that's where you decided to add it in there later. But this belongs to you folks. And so whatever you want to do, you should do.
Let me just poll here for just a second. John, what are your thoughts on that? Adding.
Well, I would be biased. I respond.
And you
recuse yourself from the.
Yeah, I think I'd
from
be
the
very biased.
survey response.
But it seems like several people would like to have it.
So John, let me hear your opinion.
Well, drive aviation can include multiple areas, but we do have a jewel with the proximity of the college and what they have to offer that we think it will be valued.
So we've got 2 in favor, 1 abstaining because he won't get his paycheck if that doesn't happen. I would suggest that we add to drive aviation, comma, aviation, education, comma, manufacturing and industrial jobs and uses. And I'd say just add that in. If somebody complains about it, they can call and talk to me.
Perfect. Then we'll add that in because like Kevin said, it's your strategic plan at the end of the day, and we can point them to you if anyone has any concern with that, but I doubt they will.
Well, and we also, you folks that are going to influence the implementation of this, we want you to be excited about it. And so if those are some things that excite you or inspire or motivate, then, it's appropriate to add those, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree, Kevin.
Okay, Kevin, I think you were up to page 12.
Yep. So then this gets to the objectives. So then these are obviously the objectives that will eventually lead towards each of the goals with sort of a date timeline associated with each of these. Folks are comfortable. The objectives and the goals are all within the action plan. I can scroll down there because then gets into more detail with the dates. So I'm just going a little slow just in case. Got the 6 goals down here in the appendix, the action plan, and this is where this also will come in an Excel file, which is the native file of this document, but we put it in here in PDF version as well. Let me zoom in a little bit. And this we've worked with you all on over the last couple months. So goal 1, this is really coming up pretty quickly with, with 2024 trying to get a new airport manager by May of 2025. March of 25, and then have a little bit of time. Facility development, this one is primarily in 2025. Please let me know if folks want to go through this in more detail. I just know you all have seen this before and have already provided a lot of good comments. Enhanced General Aviation Services, this is also primarily in 2025. However, I think my understanding is that Bobby is already working on this. And so some of these we move forward because John, I think you sat down with Bobby to go over what she is already working on, which thankfully that's great. I mean, some of these goals will be achieved quicker. Accelerate aviation education and job growth. These we have out in 2026 because the thinking being get through the first air races, and then after that, there may be more funding available from the organization to help support some of these, the Pathways Committee, the Pathways to Aviation and Aerospace Committee. And, there's only so much we can do at any one time. Goal 5, this has the most objectives associated with it. And as you can see, some of these, I think Bobby is already working on. I think the first goal, or the first step with the Airport Advisory Council is to develop a task force and how to attract more investment. With the next steps shortly following that in 2025. And then as you can see, 5.5, this Bobby, I believe, is already working on. So we've got this bumped back up to Q4. And then some of these more long-term goals are in 2026, like a spaceport feasibility study, and then developing an emerging technology implementation plan. And then finally, commercial air service. I know you all currently have a small community air service development program grant. And so that's one of your key objectives, to make sure that with your new air service development consultant, you're able to use that grant before it expires. And then working with them both this year and next year to work on improving and retaining air service.
A lot in this area is some of our terminal. We talked about expansion, we talked about the build. I mean, there's nothing about a plan forward to do something with our terminal. We're going to talk to that. If we're going to talk about increasing air service, you're going to have something about the terminal built. I'll get that. That's a pretty big muscle. That's a lot of funding.
Was that big enough?
I don't know what it is, but I'm saying that we should have it or something, because I don't see it.
Is there facility development? Kevin, did you hear what we're talking about?
I can hear it a little bit. I heard something about wanting to have the terminal, something about the terminal in there if you were talking about expanding air service.
Right.
Well, and I'm wondering if we put something in there on terminal, should it maybe not go under leverage facility development?
Yeah, that's where it should go.
That's what I was thinking.
So, objective 2.2 talks about a comprehensive search to identify federal, state, local funding sources to fund an airport real estate plan. There would be a statement in there about.
To include airport terminal.
Yeah, just add it on to that existing 2.2 would be the easiest.
Okay.
Good.
And so maybe an airport real estate plan and terminal assessment.
And just say to include airport terminal.
Yeah.
Okay, to include.
We've got assessments of the terminal, we've got several plans that are already existing, so I think it's renovation that we're looking at, or modernization or something.
Well,
Renovation,
include
update.
terminal expansion is
Yeah,
what
that's what,
we're looking
that's a
for.
better word.
So
is the need more on the funding side?
Is that given?
So I know you've got a couple of different terminal assessments, and then I think your master plan, I imagine they looked at it there. So is it more of identifying the goal, maybe identifying some funding sources, and as well as an assessment or terminal plan, or if that makes sense?
That's our biggest problem is funding the expansion.
Yeah.
So once we get that, it'll be easy to. We've got great plans to choose from.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Okay. So
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think we've identified.
if I'm
That's,
go ahead, Kevin.
sorry, it's a little hard to hear, so I don't want to interrupt anyone. So if I hear it correctly, fund the airport real estate plan to include the airport terminal. Did I get that correct? Add it to the end of the sentence.
To include terminal expansion.
Okay. Thank you.
Good catch.
So
Real
that
quick on that. Have you folks applied for ATP funds, the Airport Terminal Program funds yet?
yes.
Okay.
So anything else on the objectives and the goals and the timeline of those? Okay. And I sent this along to the group, but we also have a more detailed, and it's in a Word version, but a more detailed action plan tracker, which let me see if I can share that quick just to show you what that looks like. The nice thing of that is that then takes this goes from the highest level. This is the most detailed, granular level of so this says kind of who's accountable and responsible, but then takes each objective and breaks it down step by step. So that I sent out with the initial draft, but I'll send that out again just so it's all in one place with the final draft. If you'll bear with me, I'll share my screen. I just want to show you guys all what that looks like. Okay. So the great thing about this is that then it takes each objective, then you can fill out, okay, what is the task? Why do we need this? And then how is it going to be done? And then who's going to be doing it? And this can be checked along the way. So this is something that either someone on the Airport Advisory Council, this could be the city manager, this could be Jennifer, could take this for each of the objectives to see how we're progressing on achieving those objectives in the timeline. So this will be sent out with the final strategic plan. And that's everything. The last piece in there in the appendix is the original critical issues inventory, which is the first major element that we did together, and that's kind of more background information that informed the rest of the plan. So as far as next steps go, if folks have once you have a chance to digest all of this, please send me any other additional comments or changes you'd like to see. I'll turn those around either this week or next week at the latest. And I will follow up with Jenna on the tenant reimbursement to see if we can get that information, and I can get that information in there. Mayor Jennings, you had I think the Anderson Museum, Roswell Museum, and Planetarium. If you can just send me a quick email with those, just to make sure I got their names correctly, I'd appreciate that. But I have yours already, so I'll make sure those are incorporated. And yeah, if there's anything else we'd like incorporated, yeah, please send it my way, so we can have this done, sent back out in time, well in advance of the legal committee on the 24th. Are there any other comments or concerns or questions at this point?
Mr. Chairman, Kevin, thank you so much. I think we're going to probably talk about a couple of really small detail items. We'll work those out. We'll probably send you an email. Is that okay?
Yep, that would be great.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or comments to Kevin? All right. Any other comments from anyone in the room reference strategic plan? Okay, let's go to comments for future agenda items, if any commissioners have anything on that. If not, I'll set that up with agenda for November. And Mike, I think you had one comment on reports.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll get back to it.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The strategic plan is on an action item here, so we do.
Oh, we need to vote on that then.
Do something. I mean, I guess you don't really have a complete packet at this point to vote on. So you'll either need to postpone it or.
Well, the only thing that we're still lacking though is the addendum that Kevin wants to send, and any updates that we send him, right?
Yeah, so.
That's all we're lacking.
So you can send as is now, and then at legal, they can accept the new addendum.
Okay.
Well, I would like us to have an opportunity to check or validate the changes that are sent in the email, and we can do a voice or an email vote to accept it.
And he
To
said that he would get us that stuff.
Right. But once we get it, we want to check it because they all haven't come back accurate. So,
Do you know when the legal committee's gonna meet again?
Yes, it's the 24th, yes. And then items are due,
So we got plenty of time.
yeah.
but items are due, I believe 2 weeks before, worst case scenario, the week before.
The 10th, right?
So will your team be back from Reno by then?
We should be back in Roswell on the 9th. We'll be back at the 28th.
So Kevin, can you get us the changes / updates that we send you today in an email? Can you get those things incorporated and sent back to us by the 10th of October?
Yeah, that's very doable.
Yeah, if you can get it done quicker than that, that'd be great. But we've got several people that won't be here. They're going to be in Reno.
Okay, great. Yeah, if I get comments today, I can. I got to make sure our graphics person is in, but I should be able to get that by the end of the week.
So do we want to vote on what we've got, and then
Contingent upon
okay,
the approval of changes.
and we can do the approval of changes just by voice
Yeah, we just have.
after we've had a chance to look at everything.
We just have to set a meeting date for that.
Special session.
Okay, then the chair will entertain a motion to approve strategic plan as presented, contingent upon receiving corrections to what we've got.
Approved.
Yeah, approved corrections. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
So we've got a first and a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Okay,
And then we'll just need to set the date for the special session for us to have the amendment created and approved before legal.
and we'll just have to set up a voice meeting, probably.
It has to be posted to the public.
It has to be made public.
No. Hess keeps saying that we do not have to follow those rules because we're not an elected body. So I'd ask Hess
No, that's fine.
and go by what he says,
Then that's.
is my
And
suggestion.
then if, yes, if we have to have that posted, then I need to know about that. But we will, once Hess opines on this, then we'll set up a meeting and I just need to get a hold of everybody for a specific time and date, and then we'll have a voice meeting. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, now we're back to Mr. Spiritu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jennifer, is there any update on Ground Zero and the use of that taxiway? Has there been any changes or is it still the same? Or can we, I know that there's no money for it. Can we have that on the project list so everyone's tracking it, so we know it's still a need? It just shows an unfunded requirement.
I do have it, I just didn't print that part of it.
Okay.
It's, what is printed is the projects that we were funded, have grants attached to them. Underneath it, there's another wish list that I just didn't print.
That product, I didn't see that product this month. Was that provided in the packet or did you guys see it? Okay,
I
can
gave you a sheet last month, and this month I just read off.
Can we make sure we have that when we get our packets so we can review that in case there's any questions for the future meetings, please? Thank you.
So we'll just add that to the bottom of the list, basically.
It's on there, just on a separate page. So
Okay.
Without projects, basically projects that haven't been funded.
Okay.
Unfunded wish list.
Yeah, yeah.
The Amazon list.
Okay. All right, do we have any, if there's no other comments or questions, do we have any public participation in today's meeting? Della, we weren't notified of any, were we?
No, there's no chats or anything.
Okay. The folks that have been on the meeting, we certainly appreciate your input and being there. Hopefully you learned something. Isaac, I saw you raised your finger. Do you have a comment? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Isaac.
He gave it the heart.
Okay, if there's no, y'all have anything? Okay.
Well, we have work for you.
All right. If there are no additional comments, The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor signify so by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. So let's go through this list of things that we need to get to Kevin.
And I'd like to make a comment about this insurance. According to the financial statements that were sent,